All right, guys, we're doing the ruffle notebook sample. You have actually already done this notebook sample, believe it or not. It's when you did the gathers. But ruffle is a separate vocabulary word, and it's important to know the difference, especially when comparing it to the flounce. So you guys are gonna do it again just to make sure you really understand the difference. So if you notice with the ruffle, I'm cutting out a long, kind of thin rectangle. And I'm actually just cutting it out on the cross grain. You could also cut it out on the regular grain line. If you wanted, you can cut it on the bias line. I don't think it really matters too much, but I'm cutting this one on the cross grain because that's just the fabric that I have right now. And I'm actually, because this fabric frays a lot for me, I'm actually gonna finish my edges by doing a rolled hem. We learned how to do this by hand. If you have a special presser foot in your machine, you can also do it on the machine. I'm not gonna require you guys to finish the edges, but it is important to note that because, you know, a lot of times you don't want your ruffle to fray. And if you are gonna finish it, you don't wanna do like a bulky top stitch. You probably want it really narrow and thin. If it's a knit fabric, don't even hem it because that's just gonna weigh it down because knits don't fray. But if it's a woven fabric like this guy, look at how much he's fraying already. Yeah, you're probably gonna wanna do a really lightweight hem, such as a rolled hem. So I'm gonna run it through the machine and do that, and then I'm gonna begin the ruffle notebook sample. Okay, so right here is my presser foot to do the rolled hem pretty easily. I'm just gonna pop that in. And then to prepare it, this is the right side, this is the wrong. I'm gonna actually fold my fabric towards the wrong side, just a teeny tiny little bit. I'm using like my fingers, kind of press it. And I actually want to press it one more time. This fabric is actually being a little difficult. It doesn't really want to bend. So if I was smarter, I'd probably take this to the ironing board, and maybe that's what I will do in less than a minute. But I'm just gonna try it this way real quick anyways. Okay, I'm pushing it. You probably can't see because my fingers are in the way. I'm trying to give it a real good press and like force it. It just, yeah, anyways. Okay, let's see if that did anything. Anyways, I'm gonna put it into the machine and see if it will roll my hem. Oops, I did it the wrong way. Let me try again. Okay, so we're gonna press it with our fingers once. We're gonna press it again. All right, don't know if that did any good. I might have to go to the ironing board. This fabric is slightly difficult, I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty stubborn. All right, I'm just gonna put it in there. Let's see what happens. Okay, here we are. Well, it's in the machine, and it seems to be rolling. Yay, do you see that? Kind of had a rough start. This is a great way to finish hems. I like to manually fold it. Maybe I don't need to. Maybe it's wasting my time. I think other fabric, it's more beneficial. This one's just kind of does what it wants. I'm probably just wasting my time. It's looking great though. Okay, so I finished the hem. I just did that rolled hem. I used my foot. I messed up. Oh, geez. I went a little fast. Wasn't really paying attention. No bother. Moving on. The show must go on. So to do this ruffle, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put a basting stitch right in the middle of this. Because I want this to ruffle on both sides, but I've also seen notebook samples where people only do the basting stitch at the top. That's an option too. I mean, you can really do whatever you want, because I know you know how to do this because you've done the gathered seam before, and that's really what we're doing. We're putting in a basting stitch, we're gonna pull it together and gather it, and then we're gonna sew it to something and make a ruffle. And why I'm making you do this extra work again is to really ingrain that vocab word ruffle, and that a ruffle is different than a flounce pattern piece. The flounce kind of has that ruffle vibe, but it doesn't have all the shearing at the seam like our ruffle will, because I'm gonna gather it. Okay, so here I go. Okay, I'm gonna gather this ruffle, so I'm gonna change the stitch length to the longest. On this machine, it's a 4. That will do. And I'm not gonna backstitch. There we go. Pull that guy out. Okay. Okay, so normally if I was sewing this fabric, I probably wouldn't be happy with all the puckers I'm getting, but since it's supposed to be gathered, I'm totally okay with it. So I'm gonna take one of my threads. There's the top thread, and there's the thread from the bobbin on the underside. I think most tutorials usually tell you to take the underside one. I've found from my experience, it doesn't really matter. Just don't pull both of them at the same time. And look, see, as I pull it, it will gather. You just gather it to whatever length that you need. And then you want to try to spread out the gathers evenly, if possible. Okay, so here I have like my double-sided ruffle. And I'm actually I found a piece of fabric I thought would be fun to sew it to. Why not? It's black and white. So wouldn't neon green look great with black and white? For some reason, it's been embroidered Boss Baby. Even more fabulous. I'm totally okay with that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start pinning my ruffle. Where'd my little thread go? Kind of gather that a little bit. I'm just gonna pin it here as a decorative detail. So there's so many things you can do with ruffles. It can be on the edge of a garment, it could be at the neckline, it could be the strap. Who knows? There's so many possibilities. Today, it's some weird decorative detail on this random swatch of fabric I have in my house. Okay. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna sew exactly on my basted seam and just stitch my ruffle into place. Voila. Voila, there's my masterpiece. Woohoo! I'm kind of wishing I folded this guy underneath also to kind of hide that raw edge, but maybe next time I should really think about that. But whatever, it's just kind of silly and fun. There we go, it's a ruffle. Very different from the flounce, so it's just really important to notice the difference. As a designer, and when you start drawing your ideas, if you're gonna draw something the flounce, you'll notice you're not really gonna have like shearing lines really here. You might have a couple drape lines here and there, but for a ruffle, you're gonna go squiggle, 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 and draw like a little squiggle to kind of show all the fullness. So yeah, it's just important to know the difference, and they both obviously flow a lot different. The flounce is gonna use a lot more fabric because of the whole U shape, circular shape, takes up more fabric than just a strip does. But anyways, hope you guys have fun with this one. I can't wait to see how they turn out.